Hello, my name is Jeppe Tingbjerg. I am the founder and CEO of the International Massage Association. The International Massage Association, also called IMA, organize and arrange the World Championship in Massage. The World Championship in Massage is a competition, but at the same time, an opportunity for massage therapists to find professional inspiration and networking. On a daily basis, I own a massage school in Denmark myself, and I have a franchise school too. We also educate therapists in acupuncture and reflexology. This is a video podcast featuring key players in the massage profession around the world. These are conversations about massage methods, styles, and education levels. We do this in order to share knowledge and to inspire massage therapists, massage teachers, school and spa owners.
Hi Jeppe, I'm really pleased to be able to have a chat with you today about what it's like to be a reflexologist in the UK. And I understand you have some questions for me. My name's Marion, and would you like to ask or would you like me to talk?
I will try to introduce you also because you and I, we met during the European Massage Championship in 2019 in Italian city Spilamberto. And you were the judge at the Reflexology category, and I was judging the Western massage category. So, and for me, it was also surprising that Reflexology was one of the categories, but after reflecting, I think it's actually correct that it should be, because it's also a kind of massage, just like shiatsu, for example, which is also meridians and so on. So there you and I, we met and we discussed a little bit about reflexology, and this is why I have contacted you again, so I can share your knowledge with my students and my followers. So welcome, Marion.
Thank you.
And the first question is, how or for what purpose is reflexology used in the UK?
So mainly in the UK, it would be considered a complementary therapy. I find that it's not often recommended by medical people. I think it's sometimes forgotten in medical circles that it's accessible and that it's useful. Reflexology is often accessed by people who are looking for relaxation, freedom from stress, problems with sleep and anxiety, and also people who are looking to manage particular symptoms of conditions, painful symptoms frequently, or who want a thorough body balance on a regular session. So if somebody's an athlete or has a particularly physical role or a mentally stressful role, they might want to rebalance themselves and connect themselves regularly. I think that that's what it's excellent for. It's excellent for maintenance, whereas other therapies might be more invasive in terms of dealing with injury or illness. Then reflexology is less invasive and it's more balancing and more holistic. It's a whole body balancing approach.
You wrote me a few lines actually, and I was reading this. You wrote me, in the UK, people are more likely to prioritize their spend on things that make visible differences like hair, face, and nails, and feel less justified to invest in well-being.
Yeah, that's my opinion of our society here. I see clients struggle to justify a course of reflexology in the same way that they might justify regular nails, regular facial, and things like that. And I've seen lots of reflexologists in the UK take to promoting facial reflexology because of the facelifting aspects and obviously working on the face for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour is going to have a face lifting effect. And somehow that appeals to a different market. But of course, it's the reflexology, in my view, it's the reflexology that you're doing it for, the theory and the basis of the reflexology, and not the facelift. But of course, the market is looking for a visible result sometimes. And I do think it's a shame, because if you've looked after your well-being, then your physical presence is so much more beautiful anyway, because you're calm and you're relaxed and you're feeling well, so you present a better image outwardly as well. But I do think that our society makes it easier to spend money on something that somebody else can see you've had done, and reflexology is one of those things that really it's your secret, only you know about it, unless you choose to share it. But I think that applies to well-being. I think that people are likely to access sports massage, osteopathy, the chiropractor, because or a physio, because they're having something fixed and they feel more justified in that. And I think it's a shame. I've spent a long time talking to people and persuading them that ongoing well-being is really important as well.
And do you think this COVID situation is actually changing that idea of well-being, that they should do more for their well-being in the future?
I mean, I do, and I do think that people have started to listen to the fact that our immune systems benefit from reflexology, and people's ears are pricking up at that now, because everybody's very keen to have a strong immune system. And also, when you have reflexology and when you go for a consultation and an ongoing course of treatments, you're not only because it is a holistic therapy, you're discussing every aspect of your lifestyle, and as a therapist, you're helping people to choose what's best for them in terms of they reflect on their current lifestyle and they have a conversation with you, and then they make changes to their lifestyle that are positive, and they encourage better health.
In Denmark, and most likely also in England, it can be difficult of making a full-time job of being a reflexologist. And when you spoke, I was thinking maybe we should adapt a little bit to the wellness market, really. You talked about the facial treatments, and we do have face reflexology. Mm-hmm. Some call it Japanese facelifting, or it can be similar. And I think that is a good idea. In Denmark, we do have programs or classes in facial reflexology, but it's not normally a part of the total education, actually. Maybe we should rethink the educational program in order to fit the market and to succeed, really.
I think it's a really valuable tool. I think as therapists, we all have our idea of which parts of our therapy are the most beneficial and the most important. But I've the luxury of running my business part-time and almost as a self-supporting hobby. I actually started my business to enable me to volunteer, to cover the costs of my volunteering. So that's where I started. But if you're wanting to make a living from it, then you need to be diverse, and you need to have you need to appeal to a broader market, and certainly the facial reflexology is something that people can see after they've had the therapy. They can see a visible change in the mirror there and then. So I've always battled with the fact that I'm not performing a beauty treatment. However, I'm not. I know I'm doing reflexology. If the client feels as if they've had a facelift, then wonderful. I know that I've done the job that I needed to do. How they visualize that. And this can be the difficulty with reflexology, is the expectation of an immediate change, of an immediate feeling difference, but it's an ongoing practice. It's something that I know people have budgets and availability in terms of time to have a course of treatments, and so I recommend that people, according to their budget, have a regular treatment, whether that be weekly, 2 weekly, monthly, 3 monthly. So it gives the body an expectation, the body and the mind an expectation of, I'm going to look after myself at this point in time, and it's something to look forward to and look back on and to continue and repeat. So when people are wanting to engage clients that of course they want to return, it can seem, when you're giving something like reflexology, most people in our industry don't want to push and market themselves hard, because it doesn't sit well with the ethos of giving what we're giving well-being. But of course there's got to be a balance to that. People, if they want to work in this industry, need to make an income in order to live and to survive and cover their costs. So definitely diversity, for someone who's working full-time as a reflexologist, need other strings to their bows and other things that they can bring in, and that's where additional learning is obviously really important.
And it brings me to the next topic. It's about the educational system. How many lessons has a typical reflexologist received in England?
So I'm going to start with, if you're not trained in any other therapy. So if you're not trained in any other therapy and you're new to the wellbeing industry, then you would need an anatomy, physiology and pathology qualification. I mean, you don't actually need to be trained to be a reflexologist because it's an unregulated industry, but I certainly don't recommend that, because you want to have credibility and reassurance for your clients. If you've not already been trained in say massage or another discipline, then you would have to do the APMP, anatomy, physiology and pathology qualification. If your reflexology is your first discipline, then you would probably study that alongside your reflexology course, and that's exactly what I did. And I did it like an academic year. In the UK, the academic year starts in September and finishes in the summer, and I kind of enrolled on a course, and it transcended the whole academic year. So the attendance on the course was actually small. It was 2 days a month, 1 day to do the APMP and 1 day to do the reflexology, but the home learning was enormous. So the hours that you put in with researching, writing projects and essays, making a business plan, all of those things were really, really vital in learning. And also for reflexology, our practical hands-on hours are more than they are in your general massage course. So we do 100 1-hour treatments documented. So a massive folder this thick full of all of those documented treatments, and it's the repetition and the learning. It's a very fine, as your students will know, it's a very fine and intricate learning, and to visualize and remember, and the only way of learning is to keep touching. So yeah, 100 treatments documented, and then an exam for the APMP, a written multiple choice exam, and then a practical exam for the reflexology, which is invigilated by an examiner. So yeah, it's completely achievable, because if you love it and you believe it and you're passionate about it, you will learn it. It's not it's not to make it sound difficult in the sense that that it's not achievable. It's totally achievable for anyone who feels passionately about it and wants to do it.
I think it's a little different from the Danish system. I have two questions really. The first one is about, you say it's not regulated, but still it must be a little bit regulated, because in order to obtain insurance in the UK, you need a level 3 of anatomy and physiology and pathology, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, you could practice without any of those things, but I wouldn't recommend it. You know, it's not a safe way to operate a business to not have the security of support from a professional body and also insurance. So in order to be insured, you must belong to a professional body. The two go hand in hand.
And but we don't understand. What do you mean professional body?
So not a government organisation, an independent organisation set up to support other therapists. So that professional body gains in status. Nobody's asked it to exist, but a group of reflexologists have got together, the same for other therapies, have got together and said we need to support other reflexologists. So especially in times of COVID and when you're new to the industry, they've got all the forms, all the advice, everything's done for you. So you pay an annual membership, which I think is a pretty small amount to pay. And for that, you have got support. So it's not like working for somebody, but it's like having a whole organisation behind you that you can go to and say, what do we do if our client is pregnant? What do we do if our client has this condition? This has come up and I don't understand what to do with it. And there's always someone there for advice. So with COVID, it was absolutely invaluable, because they researched and reviewed all the government guidelines and presented it to its members in a package that was easy to understand. So I didn't have to go to the government website and look at the advice about what I should be doing. My professional body advised me in simple terms what I should be doing. The insurance goes hand in hand with that, and it creates a safe environment for us to work in.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation in Denmark. We also have these associations we have to be members of in order to get the insurance and other things. And they have been busy the last year because of the COVID situation. Yeah. And they also support the members, of course. Anyway, the next question is really, you talked about you had to do 60 or was it 100 treatments documented, but I mean, did you also get supervised? Did you get feedback from any supervisors during this period?
Yes. So the monthly attendance at college, the purpose was for our tutor to review what we'd worked on, to check the notes that we made in our case studies and that we were working in the right way. And then we would work on a model for each other, have some hands-on practice, and also sitting down and talking about and listening to the advice and the guidance of our tutors into how we should be working. I mean, I think you know whether your therapy works for you and clicks for you while you're in training, and it's an acknowledgement, I think, that that when you worry, can I do this? Is this going to fall into place? And then it does, and then you think, yeah, okay, I've done the right thing. I think each student will know whether they're fitting with the therapy course that they've chosen.
What about continuing education? I mean, you most likely you need extra points after the education, really. And how does that work?
Actually, it's really cool, and I sat and did some CPD updates with my professional body this week. So CPD sounds expensive, but although I recommend that you do a professional course at regular intervals, because the anatomy and physiology qualification has a 5-year lifespan. If within that 5 years you don't retrain professionally in some, you don't attend a professional course, then you need to retake the APMP for it to be current. So it's in our interest to at least every 5 years embark on some professional CPD, something that you go to a professional organisation and you come out at the end with a certificate, because that shows your organisation that you've refreshed and revisited APMP at the same time and that you are current. But not all CPD costs money. So especially in times like this where it's been difficult for people to attend courses, people can attend courses virtually and online. Somebody listening to a question and answer session between me and you would be undertaking CPD. And so reading a book or revising some lessons that you've done previously, conversations, professional conversations with other therapists, business conversations with other business people, those kinds of things all add up to your CPD. Volunteering treatments that you're paid for are not CPD, but if you're volunteering, then those treatments are CPD because you're doing it solely for the purpose of learning and not for financial gain. So all of those little things can add up, and those hours add up. But I do think it's important to maintain a professional education alongside all of those other bits. But it's not scarily, I've got to pay for 6 courses this year in order to meet my CPD quota.
I got a little confused because you talked about you also need CPD points for anatomy and physiology. You need refreshment points for anatomy and physiology, right?
So yes, so the anatomy and physiology, you don't record your points ongoing. It's just if you've gone for 5 years since you qualified in anatomy and physiology without professionally qualifying in something else, then your anatomy and physiology will have lapsed.
Okay,
so
I understand.
It means you must do a professional course, because in doing a professional course, you're revisiting anatomy and physiology. Whereas if I only recorded my own activity as CPD for 5 years and never undertook a professional course, the professional body couldn't be certain that I'd refreshed my understanding of anatomy and physiology.
I like the idea of that you also should refresh your anatomy and physiology. We do not do that in Denmark. We only refresh or add to the prime, the reflexology or the massage or the acupuncture. In that we need points, and it's different actually from association to association, but most associations between 1.5 weekend each year, ongoing education, then you are in good shape. I like that. Of course, I think we should still develop, but also refresh. I made a deal by you talked about many ways of refreshing or getting CPD points. I don't think we have that many actually in Denmark. I talked with the Federation of Holistic Therapies, FHT, I think they're called in England, and they have, for example, approved the championship, the national championships, and the world championship, and so on. And when they go to these championships, they are supposed to do something reflecting about them, write down what did they learn, what did they see, and discuss a little bit about that, and then they send in the papers and they get the CPD points. And it's not only championships, but also other events, as you say, which is I think it's a good idea, because we reflect. And when you were judging at the European Massage Championship, I'm pretty sure that you also benefit from it as a professional.
I learned loads. I was so surprised by the experience. I mean, reflective practice is so important. If you don't reflect on what you do and you don't watch what others do, then you're never going to move forward from the point that you're at. And everything changes. Life changes, stuff changes. We need to be learning all the time. So reflective practice is so important. The championships were an absolute eye-opener, because I'd never worked with therapists from outside the UK. So I've got a very UK-based view of reflexology. And I hope I didn't look too surprised, but I was surprised. And actually, yes, experiences like that for participants and for judges equally is CPD. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And I would have made a note of that with my professional body, that I did this for this many hours, and it would have contributed to my learning. I learned loads in that couple of days, because you do something in one way, because you can't, when you think about a therapy session lasting an hour, you can't possibly incorporate every idea that anybody's ever had about reflexology in that 1 hour. You pick a method, you pick a way of doing it, and you do it that way. And that's according to your client. Your client can't have the experience of everything that everybody's ever thought of to do with reflexology. So sometimes we tend to get into a bit of a routine, and we're not thinking more widely about what we're doing. But when you go somewhere like to the championships, and you see so many people from different countries working in different ways, and you think, wow, I'd not thought of that, or I have not experienced that before, or what might that feel like, and what effect would that have, and the discussions that you have with people, the experience in the hands-on, by modelling for each other, so you actually get to feel it, and you can then ask the person who performed that session on you, you know, what was your thinking behind that? Why did you do it like that? And you can give feedback and say, well, that felt good, or that really didn't feel good. It's so useful. I was completely surprised by the experience. Yeah, absolutely brilliant 2 days.
I have the gold winner. Let's talk about her in a moment. Anna Pasta from Greece. I have met her after the European Massage Championship. I have met her twice, actually. I was teaching in Moscow, Russia, and I traveled to Greece, where there was a Greek Massage Championship. And she was there. She was one of the judges. And I was actually a little ill when I arrived, and I asked of her to give me reflexology, because I was very curious in what she was good at, actually. And I tried it, and it was amazing, of course. And then later, the same year, I met her doing a charity event in Frankfurt. She's a former professional handball player in Germany and Spain. And so we had many good conversations. But what did you in as a judge? What did you see in Anna?
Well, I didn't know at the point that I was judging that Anna was a former Olympian. I hadn't any background information about the people that I was judging at all. But what I saw in Anna was someone entirely professional, who had a physical presence about her, a capability about her, and a strength about her, the way she took control of her reflexology session, but also clearly her understanding. So it's kind of a difficult in the setting of the championship. Sometimes with some of the more visual therapies, it's easier to spectate and appreciate it, but reflexology is far less visual for the spectator. It's an experience for the person receiving it. So it's actually quite hard to see the nuances of how someone is stimulating reflexes, and the fact that they've being really accurate about that, and that they've asked you what your issues are, and you only know if you know that they're touching the right reflexes. So she was entirely professional, and the reassurance for me came during the final, when all of the disciplines went up against each other for the overall winner, and I received the treatment from Anna, and she did a proper consultation during that treatment, and she knew what my issues were, and she targeted those during that treatment. To everybody else may have been unaware of that, apart from one guy who came up to me at the end and just tugged me on the elbow and said, "Good choice." I could see, and he was obviously a reflexologist, and he said, "I can see how accurate her positioning is, and you know, that really was a good choice." And I felt at that moment that, okay, someone else in the room has seen that, because it's not always possible for someone else to see that if they don't know what they're looking for. Incredible, really, really well done to Anna, and she's taken her win and used it for the well-being and the goodness of reflexology, and you know, to perpetuate that, and to further the reach of reflexology. I'm absolutely certain.
Yeah, she's an amazing ambassador for reflexology. There are many reasons why to participate at the World Championship in Massage. For the massage therapist, it is a great way to advertise their services and skills. It is a great way to exchange professional experiences. And it is a possibility to take part in an international contest to make their name famous and well known. For the massage teachers, it is a possibility to connect with massage school owners, and possibility to find inspirations from other teachers, as well as it is a possibility to make massage therapists aware of their classes. The same goes for massage school owners. It is a possibility to announce their schools on the international professional level, and to exchange experiences with other school owners. For the spa centers and beauty clinics, the World Championship in Massage is an effective advertised possibility, but also a possibility for professional experience exchange. And let us not forget the opportunity to find and headhunt the greatest massage therapist in the world, or the possibility to promote their company name worldwide. For the sponsors and the massage equipment suppliers, it is a great way to advertise their services and products to an international and worldwide clientele and customers. For the national massage associations, it is a possibility to announce themselves on the international professional level, and an opportunity to exchange knowledge and professional experiences with other national associations. Therefore, schedule your participation in good time and benefit from taking part of the World Championship in Massage. Next topic is really to compare a little bit about how reflexology is being done in the UK and maybe in Denmark. Can you please tell us, do you use the 5-element theory or the meridian clocks when you work with reflexology? How does that work really? I mean, how do you do it?
So that's an interesting question, and one that you asked me to think about a few days ago. And like I said to you, there's lots of theories, and there's lots of ways that people work differently, different parts of the body, different positions on the feet, people who've made ways of doing reflexology on the tops of the feet for people whose soles of their feet can't be accessed. So lots and lots of different things, and we don't always look any further than the way that we're practicing. So your question encouraged me to buy a book this week. And it's a book that has been recommended to me before, so naughty me for not reading it before. But Inga Dugans has written a book, The 5 Elements and Their 12 Meridians, which was exactly the question you asked me. So I bought it this week and I read it. And the relief was, what I do isn't detached from that. But actually, I hadn't studied the theory before. And what the theory says is, coming from traditional Chinese medicine, that there needs to be balance. Absolutely. And that's what reflexology is, putting the body back into balance. So it was an interesting read. It's not something that I would have consciously previously gone into a treatment session and thought, I must consider the 5 elements and the 12 meridians and the meridian clock. But having now read it, there are aspects of that that are already included in the way that I've learned reflexology. And balance is the most important. So every client will have a consultation at the beginning of the session. I try not to make that too long, because that's not what they're there for. They're there for you to touch them, and they're absolutely desperate for you to get your hands on. So people don't enjoy a long consultation. But if you're going to do a short consultation, it has to be to the point, and you have to get the information out that is vital to you understanding your client and then tailoring your treatment to them. So I have a form that I've adapted that I understand, that is a shorthand form for me, and I ask those questions about nutrition, about sleep patterns, about exercise, about mindfulness, about, what are people's stress levels, how do they perceive their own stress. You can't measure other people's stress for them. And all of those things, people's allergies, people's injuries, people's illnesses and their previous surgeries, and anything that's relevant to that person's body and mind, but quickly. Not otherwise you could spend the whole hour doing a medical background and a lifestyle background. You need to get that down to 10 minutes. And so that you are in a position of understanding within that short time. You may well have sent your form to your client via email so that they can be ready to answer those questions, so they're not wasting time over those answers or dithering over those answers. So all of those things are what 5 elements and 12 meridians are telling us. We need to, the food we put in is really important, the way we nourish our bodies, the way we behave, our rhythms and our patterns for sleeping and working, they're also important, and every one of those affects the other. So yeah, what a great read, what a relief that the ways that I'm working encompass that, but very interesting now to see how that might affect my consultations in future. So yeah.
I read somewhere that the way you do it normally is that you begin at diaphragm, and then you go above, and then after that you go below diaphragm.
Yeah.
This is maybe a little different from what we do. Can you explain why you do it like this?
So I know that everybody is taught differently, and I know that I go for reflexology every 4 weeks, and my reflexologist doesn't work like that, but it's still fabulous. So it's a way of working that suits you, and that has so there is a reason, but what I'm saying is it's not the only way to do it. And Inga Dugans actually recommends working the same reflexes on each foot one after the other. So I would work the right foot, and then I would wrap it up and work the left foot. Her advice in her book is to work the right lung and then to work the left lung and then go back to the right kidney and then the left kidney. So that's not a way that I have ever worked, and it actually prompted a discussion with my reflexologist last night on the phone, where I said, you know, you do the same as me, 1 foot at a time. And she said she has a friend who does do the reflexes on each foot alternately. And I said, how does it feel to receive it like that? And she says, you know, I don't care, she's touching my feet. And I think that that's the feeling of most clients, is do it in whatever order you want. But the reason that I start at the diaphragm is because I always start up with a warm-up massage, because that in doing that, I'm connecting with the feet to start with, and then I'm feeling the condition of the feet and how that person feels today. So then they get a massage to warm and supple that foot, ready for me to start working the reflexes. And I start with the solar plexus and deep breathing, so that the person understands now reflexology is starting and I need to relax. So that's the indication that the treatment is starting. And then I wrap the left foot and I work on the right foot and I release the diaphragm. So I'm talking about putting the person in the frame of mind to receive a treatment. Breathing, pressing the diaphragm, stretching it over my thumb, pressing the solar plexus. Right, we're starting. So I start at that point, and that puts the person in the position to receive the treatment. And I work in a cross-hatch method, so that no part of the foot is missed. Absolutely everything is covered. So each section of the foot will have a cross-hatched contact across it, and then the specific reflexes are targeted. And it just seems to make sense to release the diaphragm, to work up, and then to work down from the diaphragm. So it's just a way that works for me. If I felt that a client wasn't responding well to that way, or perhaps a client needed a target on a particular system, then I might prioritize that system in some way. And I know therapists who work system by system rather than in the order that I do. It means that I'm not going to miss anything. Everything is covered. But I think there's benefits in all ways. And the interesting thing is, none of it is wrong. If you've been taught professionally, you've been taught right. And then if that's differently to your colleague, your neighbour, your friend, a person that you go and work with or alongside in the future, and they do it differently, or you go and receive a treatment and your therapist doesn't do it the same, that doesn't mean anyone's right or wrong, because there are so many ways to approach this. And actually, when you're receiving a treatment, it's far nicer to receive it in a different way to how you work. Otherwise, you run through it in your head while you're receiving it.
I think that's a good point too, and I think also the diaphragm thing is actually interesting. I have been reflecting about this, and I will have a discussion with our students regarding this, because of course the breathing is very, very important in order to relax and to recover and
yes,
etc. So I think so maybe I learned something I could bring to the students today. Yeah, but we always learn. But Marion, thank you for sharing your knowledge and ideas and the way you do it in England. It has been a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you. I mean, it's lovely to get out.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you out there in the reflexology world.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please help the International Massage Association to inspire therapists, teachers, school and spa owners, and equipment suppliers by sharing this podcast. Please also invite the same people to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.